Ed Baker was the head of a wildly successful oil investment firm in the state of Texas, known as Vanguard Groups International in the 1980s. He had made a serious amount of money and he made millions and was a leader in the industry, along with the help of his second wife, Mary Walker. He began to promote oil well exploration in the 1980s. After the business had successfully prospered, Ed developed a sort of midlife crisis, and in 1984 he divorced his second wife Mary after 10 years of marriage, and he would then spend his time and money gambling, going to strip parties and expensive and lavish five-star restaurants and bar lounges, purchasing expensive bottles of champagne and wine and whiskey, and just having a great time with his life, partying from Monday to Sunday from dusk till dawn. He even enrolled himself in disco classes and bought himself the latest Jaguar on the market. Ed was living the American dream. He had it all. He felt invincible and living very lavish and extravagant, living life on the fast lane, living life on the rails, living life on the edge, living the fast life. He then later remarried again in September of 1984, two more times, and only to see everything fall again into pieces, into shambles. And Ed was alone once again, and the company was beginning to take a big hit and was starting to crumble. And Ed, out of desperate measures and deep anxiety and anguish and embarrassment and humiliation and feeling very uneasy, he panics and has no idea what to do and can't think too much on what he has to do now. He feels stuck and is really hit by a boulder with this one. He feels all of his hard work for the company has been accomplished. He knows he's a seasoned veteran and can fix the situation. But in reality, Ed is falling off the rails and his company as well. And so Ed decides to use his investors' money to pay for his damages and lavish and luxurious taste. And in interviews, his ex-wife Mary would say that Ed had a mysterious way of having people to listen to him and give him what he wanted. Ed's attorney would warn Ed that if he wasn't careful, he could face serious jail time. And by October of 1985, Vanguard investors were demanding money from Ed. The company, however, was on the brink of bankruptcy and demise. And Ed, in times of need and desperate measures, he arranges a cash bailout. A few days ago, the company was on the brink of collapse, and now, all of a sudden, Ed Baker is back as a high roller, and the company is moving smoothly, and everything's back and running. But Ed, he indulges in night outs. He splurges and throws yacht parties all night and still has a gambling addiction. And one day his attorney, Ward Bussey, tells Ed, "You know, Ed, this has gotten out of hand. You're still gambling with the money. How did overnight the company was in shambles and deep turmoil, and now all of a sudden everything's sweet and you're still gambling? Tell me, where did you get the money from?" Bob tells him, "This can be dangerous, Ed. You borrowed money from an unknown source. Get in touch with your investigator, Bob Gale." And Ed says, "Okay, maybe you're right." So Ed gets in touch with Bob Gale and he has Bob run a background check on the source he had borrowed money from. And Ed already knows and imagines that this money is dirty money. But Bob the investigator doesn't know anything about it. And when they both see where the money is coming from, Bob freezes and is terrified and shook. They see that the funds are coming in from a mafia connection. Ed doesn't say anything. He seems calm, but you can see in his eyes He's nervous in the fact that he has still been living life on the fast lane, and he can't seem to stop his indulgence in spending all of the company's money. Not only that, but the money he's been spending on his lavish lifestyle is the mafia's money, and now Ed is overthinking on what mess he put himself to. And so at around 7:30 p.m. on November 6th, he shows up at his ex-wife's Mary's home in a very emotional disarray, and he's just terrified and haunted about something. His face is pale, and he's quivering and shaking, breathing heavy. He alludes to the fact that someone is after him and wants him dead, that he's been receiving death letters and death threats at work, and received 2 death threats at his unlisted home phone number, with the caller stating, "This is your day to die." Mary urges Ed to call the police to seek for help, but Ed realizes that he can't tell the police anything because if the mafia were to find out that he spoke to the police, his family could be in jeopardy as well. 2 days later, on November 8th, Ed's expensive Jaguar was found burning 20 miles outside of Houston with a burnt up and charred body inside. It was so disfigured that nobody could figure out who it was, but forensic analysis without certainty they alleged the body belonged to Ed. There was also a burnt .32 caliber revolver gun which was found on the floor of the car. There was also an indentation on the firing pin which indicated that one shot had been fired, and also 3 one-gallon gas cans were found in and around the car. Many people believe Ed was a victim of a mafia hit, or did Ed fake his death to run away from all the chaos? And still to this day, Ed Baker has been missing, and no one has a clue of what might have happened that day. That's the end of this story, folks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and turn on all notifications for more stories. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.